Okay, so what we have here is a piece of Alcantara. Now this isn't real Alcantara. If you want to do real Alcantara, you can. This is a ever so slightly stretchy Alcantara. A more stretchy material will be a little better. We'll put a link in the description. This was like 13 bucks per yard, I think it's 13 bucks for 2 yards actually. And we have two different sides to it. We have the Alcantara side, the suede side. Then we have synthetic other side to it. And so a lot of mistakes people make, hand me that piece of Alcantara right there, is they try to use the headliner foam, the headliner covering on the pillars. That's a mistake they made on these. That doesn't work. That's never going to work. So the headliner material has Alcantara on this side, then it has foam on the back side, right? This is a used piece we use for folding up and smoothing out the new material when we put it on. Now, you could also use this stuff. Let's be a little bit warned. This stuff is not cheap to start off with. This stuff doesn't always hold correctly. But like we'll use this on the headliner. We'll go through and spray this on the whole headliner. I'll bring it over here to you. And we haven't stripped this thing yet, but we'll show you. It's like we'll lay on the headliner. We'll use that spray on everything. But up in here in the bins, as you can see, this one's coming off. You cannot use that spray on any of this up here or around this. You have to use the brush-on contact adhesive. The problem with brush-on contact adhesive is once you install it, you cannot take the material back off and move it. Because if you have foam, you try to pull it back off, it's gonna rip the foam. If you got enough strength, you can't rip this stuff back off and reuse it. So what we're gonna do here, I'm gonna start off with, essentially make sure the correct side is up. We're gonna lay this out here like this, and we've already cut many different pieces out of it. And we're essentially going to, let's do this. We're essentially going to somewhat pre-fit this. You just want to leave it super long because it's so easy to trim it afterwards. And then cut it. Just like that. Push up there. We're just going to go ahead and cut it. We're going to come over here and flip it over here like so and make sure it all covers. Now, we got dirt on it. Don't worry about that. You can take something like this and wipe it right off. Yeah. There's no issue at all. Make sure it fits in all directions. Once you've done that, we're going to lay it out like so. All we're going to do is pop the lid on that. This stuff does stink, so be warned of that. If you're sensitive, it might be a problem. So let's take this, wipe every little crumb of dirt off of it. And all you're saying, why didn't you clean the table before you did this? You clean all you want. This stuff will attract dirt like nobody's business. So what we're going to do is go in here first. And we're just going to brush it like so. Don't need a crazy amount. You just need like a fair amount. We're going almost all the way to the edge here. And you see a lot of upholstery shops will have this in like a little low pressure sprayer. Obviously, we don't do enough of this to do that.
Okay, definitely make sure you do this in a well-ventilated area.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, it's not too... I've dealt with smellier stuff. It's not as bad as like acetone or something as far as the stink. Okay. You can already see it starting to dry a little bit. So we're going to leave that right there. Oh boy, that's what you don't want to do. Okay. Then we're going to grab this put that all back over there. We're just gonna flip this like so. We want to do the same thing to it, but whenever we do this, I'm just gonna pick it up and do this so when I get on the table. We're not only gonna do this side, we're gonna do also around the back side, and we'll show you why that is. And what you don't want, if this is oily, any of these pieces, you don't want that. Because what's going to happen is it's not going to stick to it. And we're slathering on there really, really good. And I'll show you here. The biggest mistake a lot of people make on this is not letting it dry before you stick it on her. Because it's the opposite of what you think. You think, well, we don't want it to dry because it's not going to be sticky. But contact adhesive is totally backwards. So what we're going to have to do here, I'm going to stand this up like so. And we need to go down. Philip might have to come over here on my other side behind me. And we're painting down the back side like an inch inside this. I'm going to show you why here in a little bit. Okay, so we got one little spot here we missed. We're just going to touch that a little bit and we get inside all the edges. Okay, now what we're going to have to do is come back, let this dry and come back and do it all. But while we're doing her up, we're going to go ahead and do this one. We had a little piece left over. Do the same thing with this. And this piece is hard to get clean. It was nasty. Nasty, nasty. Okay, you see over here, we'll get Philip shoot. This one's almost dry. See how it is? Now, keep in mind, it should be dry to the touch. Okay, we'll go a little further because we touched the spot on here up a little bit, so that needs to be totally done. We'll be right back. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is just slip this down a little bit, slide that down a little bit, and we're gonna pick it up and we gotta lay it in from the middle, but you gotta make damn sure that you get it done correctly. And we missed. Nope. I didn't press it, so we're still all right. Now, hold on. Make sure we're all covered. Yes, we are. So we're gonna go. Oh, hold on, because we're gonna. What's gonna happen here? We're gonna get a wrinkle. So you always gotta go from the middle out, middle down. It'll roll all the way over. Hand me that big piece of Alcantara that with the foam back on it. And we're gonna fold this over, and that's gonna push it right down in there really nice. I forgot who we were watching that did this, that used this, but it works really good to use another piece of Alcantara to push it in. All right. Okay, now we're gonna flip. Remember what I said about painting it on the inside of that. See how it just kind of conforms to it? We got a little bit of a wrinkle there. Okay. Okay, now what we got to do is hand me one of those razor knives there. And everywhere there's a bend, you have to, essentially cut it. Hold on to that, just so it'll move. And we're gonna roll it. Before we roll it, we gotta do this. You gotta cut reliefs in it, because if you don't, it'll never go down, and that'll let you push it down. Push it down like so. Got a little boogie on there. Now, if you decide you want real Alcantara, this job in real Alcantara would be a few $100. I didn't buy that because it has zero. Ew. It has zero stretch at all to it. This has a little bit of stretch. So when you go in the corners and do all this stuff, you have a little bit of room for air. All right, let's have those scissors over there. Just a little bit too long. We're just gonna go up in here, and this glue is totally dry now. What you want to be careful of here is not to have glue on your fingers and touch the Alcantara, because that may not come out. And then we're just going to fold that over here like so. And we'll have to notch that out for there. Okay, I'm going to come up here. Let's go and trim this just a little bit. I'm going to cut some reliefs in there. And we're going to, now see how this is going to go on top of this one? It's not going to stick on top of that. It doesn't matter, it's going to be tucked in. But be aware of anything that material stick on top of material. We switched to our Harbor Freight gloves because these seem to be a little bit more chemical resistant. Just a little bit. Okay. And what we have here is a nearly, where did a piece of stuff go? A nearly perfect piece of Alcantara's Terrid interior trim. And there we go. So we'll time lapse you maybe a little bit of this next one. This one will be real easy. So you gotta watch out because there's glue on my glove. So if I go to wipe that down, it's gonna be a problem. And see what I did. So even I mess up a little bit. We're still pretty new to this. I'm gonna try to pull this up off of here. We got a little wrinkle in it. Since we didn't press it down, we're able to fix it real easy. It's still a little bit sticky on the back. Trim this a little bit. It's a little bit too long for my taste here. We'll have to trim a little, take our scissors, trim that a little bit. We're gonna have to go through and tuck every little cut down along the edge so it has a nice smooth edge to it. And that's pretty much it. There's a couple little deals right there. And that's what you end up with is a piece of Alcantara. This is the very back little headliner trim that goes by the third brake light, I believe, or it covers something in the back and the top of the car. So this is actually on the headliner. Now we didn't cover this with headliner material. We could have, but where it folds around the edge, see how thick that is? It's gonna make like a bulge around the edge. It's gonna look weird. So I have a really flat piece. That's what you need. So there's that. Now you guys are wanting to see all the door panel stuff. So I guess we'll do one of those next. Here's one of the rear door panels. Now, before you start this, you need to grab a few things. We're gonna pull this off. This looks good, but she's not good, boys. Not good at all. We already pulled the speaker out. The handle is screwed to the door, but it's also held in by these plastic melted rivets. And you're saying, Fatty, how you gonna get those off there? Well, I'm gonna show you right now how to get those off there. However, before you start this, you need a few things. We have some sheet metal screws here. These are number 12. That's the fatness of them by 3/4 inch. Little Phillips. Then we also have some number 10 by 1/2 inch. The number 10s are gonna go up in here. And then the back panel is a little bit different. It's gonna take mostly number 10s, but in the handle part up here, you can use number 12s. Also, what you're gonna need is some fender washers. We have a whole bunch of them here. And they got a pretty small hole in the middle. They're about the size of a quarter. And you may want to make sure that your head of your bolt does not go through there. So essentially, what you end up with is a bunch of stuff that's bolted on now instead of melted on. So if you ever got to do this again, you can easily take it back off. Let's go ahead and cut all this off and start off with the main ones here that hold in the door handle. As you see, I mean, really, we cut them off with our multi-tool quicker than we can if it was bolts take out, right? Just come right off. Go in here, we're just gonna pop those through, perhaps. Perhaps. Okay, what I'm gonna do for right now, I'm just gonna dump this right here and we'll back it up. There's our panel. It's separated. We'll put that over here. Now we're gonna have to do is get up here and separate the panel, the handle off of it. This one needs to be touched up just a little bit. And there it is. I mean, it seemed kind of like a pain in the butt, but it wasn't that bad at all. Now, when we put it back together, like I said, it's going to be a lot stronger than when it was when we took it apart. All we're going to do is flip this over. You're going to see how easy this comes apart. And it's so gooey, that old foam and adhesive and stuff. And you can see, even though it looked like it was kind of okay, it wasn't okay at all. Here's the issue. Anything that this car has at this mileage, every E46 is going to have this problem. We went to our parts E46, tried to grab the sunroof paint a lot of it with the switch. It was just crumbly, right? I'm sure that car is the same way. Everyone I've ever seen has been the same way. It's too much age for that adhesive. So now what we're going to do, whatever one he could do with the tool, there it is. We'll do a little demonstration here. We're going to use this. I'm going to go down here. I'm just going to take all that crap off. I'm going to knock all the loose stuff off. And once all the loose stuff's off, you can do whatever you want. You can use solvent. We take our steamer. We have a clothing steamer. And we'll steam it, and that'll instantly make that not sticky. You can actually just wipe it with a microfiber. Like I said, you can use solvent. We'll have to make sure and do the backside. All this gooiness has to all come off the backside because we have to glue the Alcantara to the back to wrap it around. We're just going to steam a little bit. It wipes it right off. And you want to think a steamer would do that, but then you go and touch it, it's not even hardly sticky at all. So just a little bit more wiping, and it'll be totally, totally good. So in case you're wondering, this is actually a Walmart steamer. It's like 50 bucks. This is for clothes, but we found out quickly that you could use this for steaming off your interior of your car when you go to clean it. You can steam carpet with it, but it's not as efficient. You can steam stuff under the hood of your car. And it's just like a real safe way of cleaning things. Actually, we've probably been better not using the little tool to take the stuff off. This takes it off better than almost anything. As Philip will show you, we steamed all this off. All that's good to go. We got all the back of it steamed off. We just cut our piece here for this. And then we're gonna, once we wrap this, we're gonna show you how to do all the bolts and everything. We'll show you just how strong all that is. Okay, so we're gonna do here, we're gonna do this a little bit different. We're gonna go to the back first on this. We're gonna smear this crap all in there so when we flip it, we don't have to touch it anymore. And we're just gonna pay special attention to get all the edges. Because if you do not do that, there will be issue. Okay, any big lumps, knock those out. And all we gotta do at this point is wait and let it set up. Okay, so we're all dry here, all the glue's dry. All we're gonna do is kind of a little bit of that action. We're gonna slide this back out of here. And actually this stuff's easier to use than the spray glue because the spray glue, if this did that, the spray glue, it'd be over. And so at least this stuff, when it's dry, it's not as urgent. You just have to make sure when you stick it on here, before you actually press it, that everything is correct. Because if you don't, it's going to be a real bad time. So you can see I'm trying to push it out with my hands, and it's a little bit awkward and weird. And if you do it with this, maybe that's not what you want to do. In this case, our material is all creased up real bad. Oh, that's right. See, I'm not going to cut a whole lot of that off. We got to make damn sure that we'll leave enough on there to reach. What are you saying now, Nathan? Why would you cut slots in that? My grandpa's uncle's cousin's nephew does upholstery all the time. He never cut slots in it. Would you ever think he might be an idiot? There you go. All the time. Everybody's a keyboard warrior, right? I'm going to cut this a little bit shorter. What we don't want to do is get the material over the little rivet holes. Like that. Okay. Come in here. Now we have the little rivet holes right there. So we're a little bit long on this because if we put it up here, it goes over all that. Now see, it won't stick back on itself, so we'll have to trim that out. We gotta be careful on this edge here because we cut up. We gotta stick it to this because if we would have sliced all the way down, it would have been too short all the way along there. Would have been in trouble. Okay. A bunch of strings and crap. Okay. Almost done. Okay, so there's that. Now we're gonna have to do here. This side's mostly all smooth. We're gonna have to cut out around the handle. We could just X these, but usually these little bits and parts, it's too much buildup in material around there if you only X them. So most of the time we have to end up cutting them out completely like this. And then like that. We'll go in here, all the bolt holes. We're just going to X those for the handle. We're going to reinstall the handle back in. We've already cut all the holes out. We just X the little holes where the handle bolts go. We're going to flip it over. We're going to essentially stick it in like so. You gotta try to fish it through the holes. This is a little bit of pain in the butt. So now we're gonna get our little impact, which I put up a while ago. Now we're just going to run all these back in here, but we're already doing wrong. So every bolt we put in for the handles, we're gonna use the bigger ones. We're gonna run all this stuff in here. Not too tight because they'll strip it out. Okay. And what it's doing is screwing in our handle completely. So when you go to lean on this, it's not going to break off. Take a look, make sure it's all pulling down good. It is. Do we have to put a screw in every hole that we cut off? No, but especially on the armrest. That one didn't bite much. Armrest you do because you want to pull tight down against the panel itself. At this point in time, we're going to smooth out our whole top. I can see a little bit of problem when I cut that down. I cut it a little bit deep, but once it goes in the panel, I don't think it's going to matter. Here's our panel right here. Let's just hold it up and see how it looks real quick. We're going to have to make sure that's tucked in there really good. And right here is our panel. We got our little speakers laying over there on the edge of the table. And then, okay, so that'll cinch down whenever we tighten that down. Just got to make sure all of our edges are all good. We need to pack these edges down one more time. And then when we flip this over and go to put this in here, I think that most of these are going to be the little screws that's going to hold it in. These, if you put too long of screws in these little panels, it's going to poke through the other side. She's all done. Alcantaraed out. And on the back, it looks like this. We didn't put in every one. You could put in every one. You're going to use a lot of hardware. So now it's like solid, right? It's not going to fall apart. And all we got to do is put new snaps in it to push it back in the car. We got our bolts that go in the handles and stuff that mount it to the car. And that's pretty much it. And that's all for the Alcantara interior and door panels. We might do the headliner in a different video, but we're all getting tired here and we're not going to do it in this one. That's going to be it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you all later. Have a good day.